gold and silver are not religions, and you don't need to listen to the people who want to make it some kind of cult. Gold is good money. I believe that we will go back to a gold standard. Nobody's going to want to do it. We're going to do it because we have to. That's what Napoleon did in 1796, and it cured all of the excesses of the French Revolution in a few years. We're going to do it not because anybody wants to, not because it's a religion, but gold has always been the best form of money.
Bob Moriarty, renowned financial author and the founder of 321gold.com, is certain that the world will return to the gold standard. According to the veteran Marine Navy aviator, it's a given that the gold standard will return because of the many inherent weaknesses of the current fiat system. During a recent appearance on the Liberty and Finance channel, Bob gives a dire prediction for the markets. He believes that the stock market is just about to crash, a crash that the 76-year-old investor says can only be compared to the Great Depression crashes of 1929 and 1937. Bob is also predicting that the crash will briefly affect precious metals. By October, the renowned financial author is predicting that silver and silver stocks will be so discounted that the gold-to-silver ratio will be over 100. Bob expects that kind of crash will be negatively received by precious metals investors, but he doesn't think price declines are necessarily evil. Instead, Bob sees them as an opportunity to purchase more of your favorite precious metals in preparation for the next bull market, which will certainly take metals like gold to new price highs. As proof of the coming crash, Bob gives the example of top investors like Warren Buffett, Big Short Michael Burry, Ray Dalio, and Elon Musk, and their recent unusual investment strategies. In less than 2 weeks, there have been reports of Burry shorting the stock market, Buffett selling about $8 billion more in shares than he bought in the second quarter of 2023. Bob says this is another similarity that the markets currently have in common with 1929 and 1937. Just like they are doing now, the rich guys were running for shelter, while ordinary investors walked in blind and got completely slaughtered. Another important thing Bob discusses in his interview is the notion of precious metals manipulations by the commodity exchange at COMEX, the primary futures and options market for trading metals such as gold, silver, copper, and aluminum. Bob has a unique perspective towards the issue of price manipulation by the exchange, which we will bring you in a moment. But before we do, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you never miss any of our videos on gold, silver, and other precious metals. We love to hear from our viewers, so ensure you drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
He said the best time to buy resource stocks will be in October. I think my prediction of a crash in the September-October region is correct. It could be as early as September or as late as October. Now, I want to read something too that's kind of interesting. I'm presuming that you read the comments that people make on these interviews. Okay, do you know what the number one comment was of the last interview? Someone said, I respect Bob's opinion, but anytime someone says things are going to break in X weeks or months, it never happens. Don't hold your breath, which is by and large true. I mean, I have to agree with the statement. One of the people who commented on his comment said, been following him for years, he's always been right. And if you look at the people who are wealthy today, they're wealthy because of their ability to predict the future. I have no special talent, okay? There's lots of people that's smarter than me, but I write in my books how it's very easy to predict what the market's going to do if you understand sentiment. And I use sentiment. The sentiment's telling me we're about to have a market crash, and markets like to crash in October. But I saw clearly around the 1st of August, lots of sentiment indicators that said the market had topped. And when Michael Burry comes out and makes a $1.5 billion bet That's interesting. But Ray Dalio, his fund has gone very negative right at the top. Elon Musk just sold all of his Bitcoin. Warren Buffett sold $9 billion more in shares than he bought last quarter. In 1929, the rich guys knew something bad was going to happen. The guy in the street didn't have a chance. Today, the rich guys still know something's going to happen, but guys on the street do have the advantage. They've got access to more information than we've ever had in history. And I'll be blunt, I called the bottom in gold in 2001. I called the bottom in silver in 2001 within a week. I called the top in silver to the very day in 2011, and I've called a lot of turns, and it's something everybody can do if they learn what noise is and what signal is and what sentiment does. And I'll be candid, sentiment works. If I was 30 years old, I would trade commodities and nothing else, and I would use the daily sentiment indicator. And I would ignore all the noise. I'd ignore interest rates. I'd ignore wars. I'd ignore floods. I'd ignore hurricanes, because those things don't matter at all. What does matter is sentiment. Everybody buys things because of sentiment, and they sell things because of sentiment. So if you can measure sentiment accurately, you can make a lot of money. And Jeff Bernstein's daily sentiment indicator is easily the single best measured sentiment I've ever seen, even though there's 30 or 40 or 50 different measures of sentiment.
The issue of the manipulation of precious metals prices has been a recurring discussion in the industry. Many experts believe gold price manipulation started with the approval of the first gold exchange traded fund in the United States. It is also an established fact that big U.S. banks have been spoofing the markets for years and getting away with it as a result of their influence on U.S. regulators. About 3 years ago, J.P. Morgan agreed to pay almost $1 billion in fines to resolve investigations into its trading practices by the United States government. According to reports, there were investigations into the alleged manipulation of metal and treasuries markets by the financial behemoth. 2 years later, in 2022, a federal jury also convicted 2 former precious metals traders at J.P. Morgan of fraud, attempted price manipulations, and spoofing in a multi-year market manipulation scheme of precious metals futures contracts. According to the U.S. Justice Department, the evidence showed that the traders, along with other traders on the J.P. Morgan precious metals desk, engaged in widespread spoofing, market manipulation, and fraud scheme between May 2008 and August 2016. Here's what Bob thinks about allegations that the COMEX is a part of this giant manipulation ring.
Well, the COMEX doesn't have the authority to fix prices. The COMEX is a commodities exchange, and for every contract, there's one buyer and one seller, and it's the buyers and the sellers who set price, okay? If you took the label off of COMEX and compared gold charts to corn or wheat or soybeans or live hogs, it would be exactly the same. The idea that COMEX is some kind of fraud is fraud in and of itself. Now, television preachers, politicians, and a lot of newsletter writers get paid for telling people what they want to hear. So if you're subscribing to some guy and he's telling you everything you want to hear, you're probably going to lose money, okay? But you're not going to care because he's telling you what you want. Now, let's say manipulation is true. Let's say the price of gold is manipulated every single day. How does that tell you when to either buy or to sell? And you have to do, obviously, both of them to make a profit. But what is the signal in a belief that markets are manipulated? I'll give you the most manipulated market of all time is Bitcoin and the 1,000 other variations of Bitcoin. That is so corrupt and there's so much stealing going on, and there's so much fraud going on, and nobody cares, okay? Because everybody says, I can buy the next Bitcoin at 50 cents, and it's going to go to $70,000. That ain't going to happen. And the mere fact that there's 10,000 variations means that they're all fraud, okay? But people don't want to hear that. People want to believe in gurus because they want somebody to blame when they lose money. And that's absolute rubbish. It's easy to make money in investing, but you've got to go against the herd, and you've got to follow sentiment, and you've got to ignore the experts and the gurus. The only advantage that gold has over salt or big round rocks or pieces of paper or plastic or cows is that it's fungible. Okay, it can be divided, and there's a limited supply of it. Gold is good money. It makes the best money. But for right now, it is not money. It is a commodity. And if somebody manipulates gold lower and the price is better than it was a week ago, that should be looked on as a good thing. If you walked into your Mercedes dealer and you saw a brand new Mercedes and it was $80,000 last week, and the dealer had to get rid of them and they were $60,000 this week, would that be a good deal or would that be a bad deal? Well, I think that would be a good deal, okay? But everybody looks at gold down at $100. Oh my, they're manipulating gold. Well, if you like gold, you like gold at a lower price. But gold and silver are not religions, and you don't need to listen to the people who want to make it some kind of cult. Gold is good money. I believe that we will go back to a gold standard. Nobody's going to want to do it. We're going to do it because we have to. That's what Napoleon did in 1796, and it cured all of the excesses of the French Revolution in a few years. We're going to do it not because anybody wants to, not because it's a religion, but gold has always been the best form of money.
Bob is convinced that the world is going to return to the gold standard and that everything, including the US dollar, will be priced in gold. He maintains that the powerful people who are benefiting, making trillions of dollars yearly from the existing fiat system, will continue to put up a good fight. But someday, when it becomes absolutely necessary to take a drastic measure, everyone will look toward gold to save the world. Do you agree that the COMEX is not involved in gold and silver price manipulation? Please share your thoughts, comments, and observations in the comments section below. If you are yet to do so, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks, and enjoy the video.